Hey traders, Raghee here, and in this free video I'm going to recap actually the conversation that we had in the latter half of the day, our final chat of the day for Monday, April 2, and that was looking at the closing session and paying particular emphasis to the S&P, NASDAQ, and Dow, as well as Intel. I'll talk about Dow and Intel in this video as well. So we have, part of what I practice every day is to give us a bias. We have a bias whenever I'm looking at the market. And what does that mean? I have a bias for the longer short side, and that's going to be predicated upon a number of usually slightly longer time frames than most day traders would consider. Namely the daily, the 60, and then less shocking is the 5. And I'm using these as visual anchors for whether or not I think the market is more likely to go up or down. Now, at the onset of the day, when we were trading up in this area, I really wasn't all that bullish or bearish, because I'll call this the chop inside chop, right? That's what this is. CNC, the chop inside chop. Just kind of cutting away at the market. So as the market sold off, we started to get down to some of these support levels, all of which, by the way, are pre-identified by the automated Darvis 2.0 study. It's a free study from Simpler. And I know that every one of these has the potential to be a support level. In fact, I was really rooting for this first one because the 200 EMA kind of sliced up through here. I thought we have a Darvis there as well. What a cool 1-2 punch. But the market thought, nope, not that cool, Rog. And it ended up going and testing the second level. Now, one thing I'm always looking for are the short-term time frames to show me when we're starting to catch a bid, when this market's starting to find support, we stop punching down to lower lows and start to stage an intraday reversal. So same thing here. In this case, we stopped at that 200 EMA. And in between, kind of sandwiched by some Darvis levels. So that's pretty cool. That's the NQ. And then finally the YM, which we did actually buy. The details are on the spreadsheet inside the members area. So we had an interesting zone here that, as you can see, started about 23.6 all the way down to 23.3. We tagged 23.306 today. So talk about another set of interesting levels, all automated support and resistance. And even though the 200 period simple moving average isn't necessarily plotting and in play, you can really see very simply where it would continue plotted, and you can see we're right up in there. So really interesting overlap, stacked levels that I would think would be support. And again, as we reach down to what I feel would be oversold levels, it's hard for me to want to bet against the bulls at least temporarily stepping in and buying. So what would be kind of the guidepost now, especially for the Dow, as many of us are long? It's this chart right here. This chart had, really a couple different situations where we had Darvis containment, but we had dots, no good. Then we had Darvis containment again, but this time we lost the dots. Very good, right? So this is a no-go. This one was okay. So now, as we go into the Asian session, this was a buy into the latter half of the trading session, actually, as were the NASDAQ and ES. We were not bearish going into the last hour of the day. We were very clearly not bearish going into the last half hour of the day, last hour really, because we had sunk into this zone of support on the daily. And the 60 was choppy at best. So if I'm again looking at my daily 60 and my 5-minute charts for some visual clarity, the daily said, hey, we're down near probably some formidable support levels. I probably don't want to short into them. But if we were talking last Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, no problem. In fact, even earlier today, sure, short the market. 8, 9:30, 10, no problem, because we hadn't traveled down to that area of oversold support on the daily until the latter half of the day, which is why the shorts that were interesting earlier turned into, hey, can we get some support and buy the last hour of the day? So no sense in being bearish down at that area. And it's the sheer distance that we traveled in the sell-off today that finally landed us at that zone on the daily. So this is where the market looks like it's starting to move to the upside. Another thing that I did, and this is the trade of the week that I did, which was a setup for Intel. And I think what was really interesting about Intel, other than the Mr. Toad's wild ride that we took, was the fact that I think there's a really interesting opportunity to either just jump in with some at-the-money calls or just sort of morph that into a very easy morph for just at-the-money calls is to turn this into a debit spread, especially if we have blue grab candles and I have a lower expectation of the market busting up to higher highs, which means I probably want to be out of this before the 26th, right? That's earnings this month for Intel. So I buy the 2 calls at a higher strike instead of at the money, right? And then I will sell a call up in here. Now, $50 today was a higher strike. You know, how you want to build your back spread is really up to you. I would prefer to build a back spread on a day that the market's selling off like this and buy those at the money calls, even though your traditional back spread would be having you buy calls at a higher price. I like the idea of and I morph these a lot, right? I really tweak these a lot. But my idea of this market staying contained below 53.80 to 54 is where I wouldn't mind selling that call up in there, or even close to that. With, again, I don't want this market, this trade, I don't want to take into earnings. I want to be out before earnings. And that distance that I've placed this is 2 daily price movements away. So kind of a bonus session here with the premium video, with the recap video. Check out the premium for my master watch list that I'm building here the early part of April. What markets are trending, which ones am I avoiding, and which currency pairs are we just slaying right now? That's all in the premium video. Catch you in the next update.